Welcome to Sikbaggers YouTube channel. I'm Steve, and today we're going to be working on the 2024 back here. It's another Ciro product, another awesome Ciro product. I've had this for quite a while, and I just haven't had time to get it on the bike. We've already did a video on the vent trim that goes up here on the batwing fairings on the newer model motorcycles, but today we have the one for the Road Glide. Like I said, I've had this for a little bit. Super excited to get this on because I loved the way that it turned out on the Street Glide. So I just want to preface this video real quick. Just like the Street Glide, you will have to drill a couple of small holes to get your wires down inside the fairing. But don't fret, today I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. And you can just do this at home with a few simple tools. I'm going to walk you through step by step on this vent light. Now, some of the products that Ciro sells for the new 23.5 CVO and newer models are Light Strike compatible. This is one of them. This is the Light Strike Commander. Right up front, you need to purchase one of two things with this light. You need to either buy the standard adapter, which I'll throw up on the screen right here so you can see. I'll have links down in the description to all of this stuff that we use today, and also all the tools that we use today in case you need to get any of this stuff to get this job done, right? This light being Light Strike compatible, we're going to be installing the Light Strike Commander on this bike, right? So this gives you a ton more control over that light. And what I mean by more control over it is because this is a white running light with turn signals, you can open up the app on your phone and you've got several different things that you can do with this light as far as when the turn signals come on, how they act on the bike, and you can control the brightness and dimness of everything. What's cool about the Light Strike Commander is you only have to purchase this one time. You don't have to purchase this every single time you want to add a Light Strike compatible light. There's several leads that come off of this, so all of the lights that are Light Strike compatible will come with splitters. When we get the light up here into camera, you can see it's a very slim light that's going to stick to the bottom of the inside of your vent. So all you see is this nice clean line of light going out from underneath your vent. Of course, the two wires that have to go back, and we have to drill those holes so they poke down in the fairing, so we get these connectors inside the fairing, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple. Inside one of these little bags, you'll get two little side split grommets. You can wrap these around the wires and then poke them into that hole you had to drill. So once again, nice clean install. You don't have just a rough cut drilled hole with a wire poking through it. You'll also get two bags like this with brown connectors and splitters and purple connectors and splitters. This is going to be left and right, and we have to put this Light Strike Commander, or the standard plug is going to go down here underneath your seat above your battery, so we have to get those wires from up front back down underneath this tank and underneath this seat. Now, there are two different ways to achieve getting those wires back there underneath your seat. In the Street Glide video, I did it exactly like the instructions, and I ran it down here next to the neck, and we lifted the tank a little bit, and we got it back here, and we ran it underneath the seat, right? Now, I'll kind of go through that when we're doing it, but the second way I'm going to show you today is you're already lifting the tank. You're already almost home to taking the tank off. And right here on the backbone of the frame underneath your tank is your main wire harness. It's in a channel that runs through there, so we should be able to pop that cap off of that. So today I'm going to be popping that cap off of that. We're going to run those wires through there, put the cap back on, put the tank back on. So it's going to be a little bit longer install because we're going to be doing that, but removing the tank on a touring model is super easy. So let's you and I get the camera over here and let's get started getting this fairing off. Get our fairing off, first thing we need to do is remove our windshield. Now, this has a Clockworks on it, so it's a little bit different, but it's going to have the same Torx 25 screws no matter what windshield you have on there. Then you have three screws inside here. We're going to remove those on both sides. Once those are off, we're going to come up here to our vent. We're going to make sure that it's centered on that. Then we're just going to pop this forward with our thumbnails. Then you can take this piece off. Let me just simply lift up on this piece, remove it. We're going to come over here. We're going to pop our speaker grill cover off. Of course, we're going to do that on both sides as well. Screw right here. And then you come down here to your vent. You've got two Torx 25, but you only have to remove the bottom one. So we're going to remove this one. Come back up here to the top. You've got one here and you've got one here. Do that on both sides. When you get ready to pull this last one right here, stand in front of your fairing because that's the last one holding this fairing on. Once you get that one disconnected, you simply pull forward on the fairing, pull out a little bit, pull it off. So if you want to do this by the directions, and you want to just lift the tank up and run the wires over the top of the engine and then down across here underneath your seat, you still have to take the same bolts off. So we're going to remove these 2 bolts right here, one on each side, and then if you look, it's hard to see because of the little vent thing right there, but if you look right on the front of the tank, there's a little tab that sticks out with a rubber cover on it. You're going to pop that rubber cover. It's going to have the same Torx 40 bolt in there. Now we're going back to our Torx 27. We're going to remove this vent right here by releasing that other top screw. Now you can do that while you're pulling the fairing off, but I was just showing you how to pull the fairing off without doing it. We're going to release this one. Right. Now this whole vent can be slid down and pulled out of the way. Now you can get to that front tank bolt. So if you just feel right in here, that front tank bolt, pop that little rubber cover off just like that, take that Torx 40 and go in there and get that bolt out. Same thing on the other side. So it's going to be a 5/32 Allen up here and a Torx 27 down here. So we'll go ahead and pull this one. Next thing we're going to do is pull the dash. So it's going to be a 5/32 Allen up here and a Torx 27 down here. So we'll go ahead and pull this one. All right. I'm going to switch over to that Torx. Switch over to that 5/32 Allen. Remove those 2. Now this has a rubber seal around this hole. So you kind of just want to wiggle it off like that, right? Now up here on the back of your fill hole, you got 2 lines, one on each side. If you follow this down, you can see right here, this one does not have a clamp. We want to disconnect that one right there. The other one goes down and goes underneath the tank, comes out right here at the bottom, and then it disconnects right here. So we want to disconnect that one there and this one up here. Very easy to do, right? So what I've done is just tilted the tank up because the bolts are out, right? We just want to tilt the tank up, shove some rags in there unless you've got somebody else to help you hold the tank up. But right here is your one-way fuel valve. Very easy to undo. You've got a chrome piece at the top, black piece at the bottom. The black piece is the fuel line. Now you can release the pressure off of the fuel system if you want to. I don't really ever do it. You're only going to lose just a tiny couple of little drops. But if you want to, all you have to do is follow the lines from underneath the tank back here to your fuel. Disconnect that, start the bike, let it run till it dies, and now you release pressure off of it, right? But if you just get a towel, I'm just going to grab one of these extra ones. I don't think that one's really doing anything. We're going to get under it. We're just going to lay that there because when you push that up, like I said, you'll lose a couple of drips of gas. So we're going to push up on the silver, pull down on the black, right? Push up. So we're going to push up on that and down on that. And you see that just little bit of fuel that came off right there. So now that's disconnected. Now these newer models have an electrical plug that comes out of the bottom of the tank, goes up in here, and you'll see the black plug right up here. So we're going to lift this up a little bit more, and hopefully I don't get in the way. But we're going to lift it up a little more so we can see it. It's just a pinch Molex connector. We're going to pull it, disconnect it, just like that. So that's it. So now the tank is ready to come off the bike. So the only extra things we had to do was disconnect our overflow lines, this electrical connector, and this one-way valve, right? So once we get those 3 things disconnected, now the tank can come off and we can get our wires ran through the backbone of the frame versus running them right through here. Now you can see right now, this is that cap I was talking about. So all of your wires run right through the backbone of your frame. This cap, plastic on bottom, plastic on top. From the factory, it's got a couple of zip ties around it. You want to cut those, right? You're not going to avoid any warranties by cutting those off, but you want to go ahead and get those off, and you can replace them after you're done if you want. Now in 3 sections on this, you're going to have some automotive tested tape. You got some here, and some here. So if you want, just take a little razor knife and slit the sides of those, and you can just lay this over or take it completely off. So like I said, this isn't completely necessary. The directions from Ciro 3D don't want you to do it this way. They just want you to run the wire up into the fairing, come down along the neck here, come right down here along the backbone, which you can see on this side, there's a couple of different places that you can set the wires down into. Like I said, that's my front air ride line. That's where it's setting, right above the engine. And if we come back over here to this side, you can see that you've got a couple of little clips right here too to run wires in as well. So either way you want to do it. I just had comments on the last video saying, why didn't you just go ahead and run it down the backbone? So I thought, you know what? Well, that's the way we're going to do this one. Just so the guys that want to run it down the backbone like we used to do on the older models, you can still do that on this one as well. So right now all we're going to be doing is focusing on these two really long extension wires, right? We got a purple, which is the left side, brown is right side. So we're going to go to the left side of the bike. It's always left side or right side sitting on the bike, so there's no confusion, right? This has to go all the way up in here underneath, up next to your amp, right? It has to run back here underneath the seat. We know back here underneath the seat is where our box is going to be, and there's plenty of wire here. So what we're going to do is just kind of set this here, give ourselves plenty of wire to connect into our standard connector or our light strike box. So we're going to leave that like that. We're going to start running it down the inside of this tray. You can kind of push these wires over, just kind of get it tucked down. You want them out of the way if Harley ever has to get in here and do something to your bike. Of course, you don't want all of your stuff in the way. You can see all this we have left here. If you follow this wire right here, it's going to go in, you'll feel it right up here. It goes inside the frame. And then it goes up the frame and goes inside the fairing. And that's where we need to tuck this wire. Right on the front of the frame up there, there's a hole that goes inside the frame, and that's what we want to get to. And as you can see up here, we do have the aftermarket stereo in this bike, but even with the stock amplifier, you've got all this stuff up here, and it's going to be hard to figure out how to get that wire through that frame and up in there. So I'm going to show you the fastest way to do that, and that is to pull the headlight. And you got a bolt here, back in there, you've got another bolt. So if you just get down there and look, you got another one there, and you got one here and one here. And please make sure to cover up your front fender in case you drop this headlight. And once those 6 bolts are out, you can pull this forward. Now you can get to these 2 bolts back here. Go ahead and pull those out. Now we have the Advent black lights on our lower fairings down there, our Advent black lower fairings. So we just disconnect that off the back, set our headlight off to the side. So when we go back around to that other side and we poke our wire into the frame, it's going to go right here in this hole. Then we can pull our wire up in here, get it behind our amp, and get our 2 wires up here. So hopefully I can take my little pin light now. I can see the plug, but it's still pretty far back there. So I'm just going to take my needle nose, try to reach it. I got it right there. So there's our purple wire. I'm going to do that same thing to the other side. Now right up behind this frame tray, there's a square hole, and we want to go up through that. And we want to bring it up here like this. We can set our amp stuff back in there. So now we've got our connector up here. Once again, do the same thing on the other side. So for time's sakes, I'm just going to cut the camera and get the brown side ran. Very important when you're running these to make sure to run them the correct way as well, because you've got a male and you've got a female, right? I forgot to mention that a while ago. Make sure your females are up here underneath the fairing, right? Now once you're satisfied with your wires, of course, you can go ahead and put your cap back on the top here, and then go ahead and put your tank back on. Now when you get ready to put this valve back on, make sure you plug that front connector in like you just saw me do. When you get ready to put this valve back on, same thing. Push up on the silver, push up on the black, let go of the silver, it pops back down. So you're going to push up on this, make sure it's seated all the way, and that clicks back down. You always want to give it a little pull just to make sure that it's seated all the way. Then we just simply finish installing our tank bolts and our dash. So now we need to get our fairing over to a soft table like this where we can turn it upside down. We've got 4 screws right here. Those are going to be Torx 27 again, and we're going to remove this vent from the fairing. You'll notice that they're sitting in like a keyhole, so all we have to do is loosen them, and then we can slide that forward and take it off. So now we have our vent laid out front here. Of course, the vent side here goes towards the rider, so this is the front that you would see. You can see on the front of this how this is rolled down. We don't want our light pushed all the way forward and then down on that lip, right? Because on the outside, you're going to see way too much of the housing. So we want to bring this back just slightly. So we're going to dry fit it first so we get an idea of where we want it. We're going to take some rubbing alcohol or ammonia based Windex, something like that. We want to clean this area where it's going to stick. And clean it really good. Make sure there's no waxes, oils, finger oils, anything like that on it. Give it a good dry. We're going to let it flash. This backside, we're going to take our thumbnail with the red stuff still on the 3M. We're going to score that, putting those scores in that rubber helps it stick. So we're going to pull these tabs off. All right. Get our wires back here out of the way. We remembered what our gap was up there at the top. Kind of want to center it off both sides. All right, I'm just going to lightly stick it in case it's messed up. I can actually pull it off. I'm not pressing it on there just yet. It's just lightly stuck. So I can make sure that it's even on both sides. Got that nice clean gap going across here. I think this side needs to come up just a tad. So we're going to pop it, pull it up just a tad, press that front side down so we can see what it looks like. And once we get it exactly where we want it, we're going to come to this side, and then we're going to press and hold for about 15 to 30 seconds. So there's a little bit of play with drilling the holes on these. The instructions show it drawn like imaginary line between this keyhole and this keyhole right here, and then drilling a hole here and here. So if you bring it back here closer to this keyhole, of course you're going to see the wires through the vent up here when you're sitting on the bike, and if you get it too far down here, of course you're going to see the wires from the front of the bike. So just kind of anywhere in this general area on both sides, you want to drill our hole, pull it far enough away from this edge because we have to put that grommet in there. So if you drill your hole too close to that edge, right, now your grommet's going to want to set up on that edge. So we can kind of lay our grommet up there, pull it away just a little bit from that edge so it gives us some good working room. And I'm going to come off this top hole here. So you got the key here, but then when it slides in is right here. So I'm going to come off about right even with that hole, come straight across over here like this, make sure it's plenty enough away from this edge. Stick my Sharpie in there and mark it. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Come off that, come off the edge. Stick the Sharpie in there, give it a little mark. So like I said, this doesn't have to be perfect, you know, distance between here and here, here and here, because technically it's supposed to be hidden, right? After we get it done, you don't want to see the wires. We're going to take our step bit, we're going to mark it at 9/16. Of course, if you have a 9/16 drill bit, I guess we could use like that. The directions say to use a step bit. And then after I use a step bit, I'd like to take one of these, pick these cheap up on Amazon. It's a little cutter, a little hooked cutter on here that we clean up our holes with before we put our grommet in, right? First thing I want to do is take an automatic punch like this, and we're going to put it right in the center of that dot. We're going to punch it. So that gives our drill bit something to go into, and it doesn't start skidding across your painted parts. I'm going to start with a very small bit, probably use the smallest bit that you have just to kind of get us a little pilot hole. So I'm going to put this in, lock it in, come over here, I'm going to start right in that hole. Take our piece here, clean out that back, clean out both sides. Make sure that you clean off your soft table of any shavings because we have to flip the fairing back over. So right now we're going to put our wires through the hole. We're going to set our vent back into place. So in order to get these to go in the hole a lot easier once we get around the wires, you can use a Windex or some kind of lubricant. I use this is P&A quick detailer. So I'll just kind of soak all that stuff up. There's a lot of lubricity in a quick detailer, so it does help getting these in. We're just going to start working it around can get most of it in with your fingers. And if you're going to use a flathead screwdriver, don't use one that's too thin because you'll end up stabbing through the grommet. So just use kind of a fatter flathead to help get it pushed into the hole. One little last bit here, just like that, right? So we just want to do the same thing to the other side. Now your fairing and your light's ready to go back on the bike, but we still need to get over to the bike and install our Light Strike Commander underneath the seat. So let's get over there and do that. So as you can see right here, we've got our purple and our brown wire coming from underneath our tank down here underneath the seat. Now, I have a wad of wires down here because I have other lights, a different rear fender on my bike, all this different stuff on here. So if you didn't have all of this stuff, you'd be looking for this 12-pin connector right here. It's going to be right back here on the back of your seat. It's going to be a male and a female. That's where you're going to split. Yet, even though I have all this other adapters and stuff on here, I'm still going to be splitting this 12-pin connector. Just disregard all of this if you don't have other things on your bike already. But the first thing I need to do is get down here to my battery. So with all this stuff connected on here, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this. I'm going to get this out of the way. This is a key-on power source that's been installed after. I just did a video on that if you want to check that out on these newer models. I'm going to pull all that stuff out of the way. Now we're down to our ECM. So it's got a little tab right here. I'm going to flip that forward, pull this up and out, pull it out of the way, and now you have a little bitty cage thing that sits right over the top of your battery that covers the positive on the battery. Hopefully you can see it, but it's just a Torx 27 right there on the front. So we're going to pull it up, get it out of there, and then this little tray comes off. And that gets us down to where we can hook stuff to our positive and negative on our battery. So all of that stuff has to come off if you ever need to service your battery. Pull the negative off first. All right. We're going to leave it disconnected. Come over here to the positive. Pull that bolt, positive and negative from this. We're going to slide it in our positive first. Put that on. Pull our negative up here. Our negative on. Our little Torx 27 screw. Put it back on. Then your ECM just goes right back down into place. We're going to tuck the back, snap the front. Now we've got our Light Strike Commander up here. That's going to go to the back. Now on this, it has an arrow on it towards front of motorcycle. So it's going to set just like this over here on the side. But what we want to do right now is find that main 12-pin connector. We're going to disconnect that. Daisy chain this one right in. It can only go one way. Female to male. Push it in, give it a little pull, make sure it's clicked in all the way. Over here, same thing. Female to male, that click. So now we're good. This has a little sticky pad on the back, and you can stick it to this little top tray. You can stick it over here, wherever you want to stick it. So we want to lay this hot mess down in there the best that we can, because we've got so much stuff hooked up to this bike now with the new stereo system and the air ride and the center stand and all the lights on the rear end of the bike. But anyway, once it's like that, like I said, disregard this hot mess right here. I'm going to clean this up a little bit later. But that's going to leave us with these, right? And like I said, they're color coded. So we're just going to pick one brown and we're going to click it together. And we're going to pick one purple and we're going to click it together. Doesn't matter which one. That leaves us with a full set of left and right. But like I said, even if you fill these up, your bag has a splitter in it. So for instance, let's say you already had the Light Strike Commander and you've already used all of these plugs. Like I said, every light that they sell that's Light Strike Commander compatible will have this splitter. So all you're going to do is disconnect whatever you got in there. You're going to plug that splitter in. You're going to come off this side to the light you just unplugged, and then this one's going to be left over for your new light, right? So you always have ways to daisy chain more lights together. When you set your fairing back up here, make sure to pull your wires up here like this so we can connect them, right? So we're going to set that on our soft fender, purple to purple, brown to brown. Now those two top bolts will hold it in place. We come around these sides, and on these new road glides, it's important to get this piece tucked in behind this piece when you're pulling it up on. It's a lot of times you can put this back on and this is popped out here. So the first thing you want to do is go in and download the Ciro Central Hub app. It's free on any of the Play stores, iPhone or Android. Once it's downloaded, we're going to open it up. Right, it's going to open this up. Now I'm going to come over here and turn the bike on and let that light strike commander go ahead and come on. As you can see, we got the regular Shock and Awe 2.0, which is what we have on our 14 Street Glide. We do have a video coming up for the Shock and Awe 3.0 to go on this bike. That's going to be later. But the Central Hub has all of these things already in it and the light strike. So we're going to click on the light strike. And of course, it's already found the light strike commander. So we're going to click on it. It's 6 zeros to get into it by default. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Click OK. And as you can see right there, the vent light RG has came up. Now, if you have the SG, of course, it'll say SG. So we're going to go into it. More than likely, there's going to be an update. Maybe not. This time it looks like we don't have any update. Usually when I do these installs, it's going to come up on the screen. It's going to say there's an update for this. Say OK, click yes, leave the bike on, leave this on. The light strike commander itself may need an update, or the light itself may need an update. So what we're going to do is look at this right now, showing our battery voltage at 11.8, power on animation. So hopefully you can see the screen and see, I know this is blurry in the background, but you can still see what it's doing. Power on animation, just when you turn the bike on, there are 5 different power ons. Right? So there's 1, 2, I'm not going to go through completely all these. There's a lot of stuff to do in this app, but you want to get in here and kind of play around with everything so you get something that you like that comes on when you start the bike, right? So let's see what 4 looks like. Skipped over 4. So that's 4. All right, so I'm just going to leave it on 4 for right now. And if you want that power on animation to be white or amber, you can do it both ways. Come down here to the run brightness. Of course, we can turn the run brightness way down if it's too bright, blinding people. Run color, white. I guess you technically could leave it amber. I wouldn't. I would just leave it run color white. And then run animation, we're going to turn it on. This pops up, it says attention. In short, this may not be legal in your state. So basically what it's saying is you have to physically click accept so you don't come back on them and say, well, hey, I got a ticket because I was running this while I was going down the road. You can see this. I'll show you some different ones. So that's doing just kind of a random pattern right now on its own. Now this is while you don't have any turn signals on or anything. You're running down the road, this is what it's doing. It's going to just kind of cycle through all the different patterns. It's fine if you're sitting in a parking lot or something like that, but please, I urge you to not do this running down the road. You're more than likely going to get in trouble. So we're going to turn that off. There's a bunch of different ones on that one too. Every time you do it, there's like 6 there. Every time you do it, it's going to ask you or makes you click that OK. If we scroll down here to the bottom, we got run breathe. We can turn that on. Again, it's breathing or a flashing light, so it's going to make you accept the term saying, hey, you're on your own if you get pulled over. Turn mode. So what we're going to do is come over here. So if you got the standard plug underneath the seat, this is pretty much what you're going to get. So I've got a little bit of glare on my phone, but turn mode, we are going to go down to 1. So that's your standard blink. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just going to leave it on 3. I like 3. So right now it's got more of a warm white color to it, so that's what it's called, amber. If we go back to white, it's pure white. Go back over here, change it. Now it's more of a warm white color. We're going to keep it on pure white. Once you have everything set, you just turn it off. You don't even have to have your phone, because once it's set in the box. Now, if you don't have your phone, you can't change anything, but it's not a big deal if you don't have your phone. It's just going to stay with the last setting that you put on it. So there you have it. That's a Ciro 3D vent light for the new rogue lights, and of course the Light Strike Commander that we put back here underneath the seat. Now I know that probably seemed like a lot, so the first time that you install that Light Strike Commander, please give yourself enough time. Don't try to go out in your shop or your garage an hour before you and your buddies are getting ready to go ride to try to do all of this install. You're going to be rushing, you're going to mess something up, you're going to pinch a wire, you're going to drop something, you're going to scratch your paint, you're going to be mad. So make sure that you give yourself plenty of time. Once again though, once you run the Light Strike Commander, it's done. You don't have to do it anymore. So everything after that will just have extension wires that goes back to the Light Strike Commander. So adding some much needed LEDs to the front of these bikes. I know Harley-Davidson finally stepped it up after, 15 years of LEDs being on the market. They finally do have some LEDs on these newer bikes, but any kind of added LED that you can add to the front or the rear of this bike is a huge safety thing, right? So the more people that can see you, the better you are. I have LEDs all over all 4 of our baggers. I absolutely love them. So like I said, if you want to get your hands on any of this stuff, I'll have links down in the description down below. It'll take you straight over to the website, each one of the things, even for the Street Glide stuff, and a link to that video as well if you want to check that out, because it's kind of virtually the same light on the Street Glide. It's just made for the Street Glide, right? If you have any questions on this install whatsoever, make sure to leave it in the comment section down below. And also leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think about these new Ciro lights. If you're thinking about getting some new lights for your bike, and what you think about the Ciro 3D stuff. Like I said, I absolutely love them. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit that like, hit subscribe, tell your friends about us, because that's what keeps us coming out here and making these videos for you. I'm going to get myself out of here, get myself cleaned up, and I'll see you in the next video. But until then, as always, be safe and keep your knees in the breeze. Hey, thanks for stopping by and checking out our videos today. If you like what you see, make sure you hit that like button, hit the little subscribe button popping up over here. If you want to check out more of our content, I've got 2 videos right here that'll get you started. Not really going to say anything else, just click one of those videos and take you to another video.